Today, we're moving into the third step of the BRIC method, I for invest. I'm Chris Moore, and this is the Home Service Revolution podcast. Now, when you hear that word invest, your mind probably goes straight to money, finances, maybe index funds, stocks. And yes, money's a part of it. But today, I want you to stretch your thinking, because the most valuable investment you'll ever make in your business, they're not just financial, they're strategic. They're very personal, and they're a bit spiritual. We're going to talk about how to invest your time, your money, your focus, and your energy into the things that truly move the needle, so you can stop spinning your wheels and start getting real traction in your business. So let's dive in. Back when I first started consulting in the home services industry, I noticed a pattern. I'd meet owners who were working harder than anyone I knew. They were up early, they were home late, they were hustling every minute in between, getting up in the middle of the night and doing emergency calls, but they were not getting ahead. What they were was tired. One owner told me, Chris, I feel like I'm just running in circles. I invest so much time in this business and I'm not getting any returns. And that's when it hit me. They weren't really investing. They were spending. They were spending a lot of time, but they weren't investing. And there's a big difference between spending and investing, especially your time and energy with no results. That really drains you. But investing builds you. It gets you excited. It keeps you excited. It keeps you energized. When you apply that to your time, your money, and your leadership energy, it changes everything. So let's start with time, because time is the one thing you can't get more of. Once it's gone, it's gone. The older that I get, the more I am reminded of this fact. So let me ask you something. How are you spending your time right now? If we were to audit your last week, every phone call, every single job, every meeting that you did, how much of your time was spent on things that actually moved your business forward, solved problems permanently, not just in the immediate? And how much time was spent answering those same questions over and over and over again, and chasing down people and even parts for jobs or for broken equipment? I had one client, let's call him Josh. He was constantly in motion. It was hard to keep up with him. Most of the time, our consultations ended up happening in his truck while we drove around from job site to job site, picking things up, delivering. He never had time to work on his business. So we did this time audit. We tracked every hour of his for 1 week. And you know what we found? Over 17 hours a week were being eaten up by things that he could have just delegated, and some of it, they just needed to be automated. So we put a plan in place. He hired a part-time admin who started taking on some of the things that he was doing. We started batch processing his quotes instead of doing them one at a time and trying to get in that mindset over and over again. We put his team on a scheduling app instead of this group text chain that they had trying to share what was going on. And 3 weeks later, he had reclaimed roughly about 12 hours a week. Think about that, 12 hours a week. And he was using that time to finally implement a marketing plan that he had been putting off for 6 months. Even though he knew it was going to work, he just kept putting it off. That's what investing your time looks like. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters the most. So here's something I say often. Busyness is not the same as progress. Look, we live in a hustle culture, but if you're hustling, doing the wrong things, hey, you're just getting tired. And because you're exhausted, that doesn't mean that you're effective. You know, so many times, well, they got to put in the work, they got to put in the long hours, and that shows how good they are. Well, not necessarily. If your calendar is full of low leverage tasks, you're not investing, you're just reacting. So what's the solution? Well, I teach something in the book called the high leverage filter. It's a simple tool you can use every day. Before you commit to a task or project, ask, will this create more time for me in the future? Will this grow my revenue or reduce cost? Will this improve my team's ability to execute? If the answer is no to all three, it might not be the best use of your time. Think about that. If the answer is no to all of those, why are you doing it? So let's move to money, because if you want to grow, you have to get smart about where your dollars grow. Now, I'm not talking about the reckless spending. What I'm talking about is intentional investment, and there's a difference. A business owner that I coached, he was spending over $2,000 a month on lead generation of leads that barely converted. Meanwhile, his team had no budget for training. He couldn't train his team. His trucks were wrapped inconsistently. His brand was all over the place, and his office software was outdated. His team was having to constantly do workarounds, even restart computers just to get things to work. So we reallocated the money. We canceled the underperforming ad program, and I know it was with a friend of his. Great. It did bring in leads. The problem was they were leads that didn't convert. So we got rid of that, and we invested in branding. We got new wraps for the trucks that didn't match. We got uniforms. We got signage. The signage on his building was peeling, and yet he had not replaced it for years. We created a monthly team training budget so that everybody began to do the same thing, the same way consistently and in a profitable manner. And then we upgraded their CRM, their customer management software, so that scheduling and follow-ups were all seamless. Everybody knew where to go, what needed to be done, when they needed to be there. And within 90 days, their close rate went up. Their customer reviews improved, and his team morale, it just skyrocketed. I mean, people were excited about what they were doing and felt like they were getting things done. And the funny thing is, he didn't spend a dime more. It didn't increase his expenses. It increased his revenue. He just invested differently. The question isn't how much are you spending? The question is, what kind of return are you getting from your spending? Your best investments, they're not always obvious. If you spend money training your team to perform better on site, that has a ripple effect. Fewer callbacks, better reviews, more referrals, more efficient scheduling. It's not just about putting money into marketing or tools. It's about building capacity. Look, you can buy the latest and greatest tool, but if people don't know how to use it or when to use it or how to properly charge for it, getting approvals, making sure that's in the estimate, it doesn't help. We have to focus on the right things. And your team has to focus on the right things. And let's talk about that focus. What you focus on grows. That's a principle. It shows up in business. It shows up in the Bible, in faith, and Proverbs chapter 4, somewhere around verse 20, 25. Let your eyes look straight ahead and fix your gaze directly before you. In other words, stay focused. Keep your eye on the goal. And yet most business owners I meet, they get distracted. They chase every opportunity, every new trend that comes along. They get pulled into every little problem that pops up in their business instead of letting their people learn how to handle those small events. They change strategies every other month. And it's not because they're undisciplined. It's really because they're overwhelmed. So here's the challenge. I want you to choose one priority each quarter, not 5, not 3, just one. Maybe this quarter, it's building out your sales process or hiring a new lead technician. Maybe you finally need to implement a training program. Whatever it is, commit to that one thing. Block time for it. Talk to your team about it, and then measure your progress weekly. When you focus on something, you begin to multiply the impact of what you are doing. You know, it's like that compounding interest in finances. A little bit of training done consistently has a big impact. Now, let's end with this, with what I think is probably one of the most overlooked investments of all. It's energy. It's your most valuable asset in your business. Not your tools. It's not your trucks. It's you. Look, if you are constantly drained, if you're running on fumes, if you're never unplugging from the business, your decision-making suffers. The energy that you bring is the energy that your team and your business is going to duplicate. And so if you're not bringing it in the right way, your leadership just weakens. It falls apart. Your creativity dries up. Look, I've been there. I've walked through seasons where I'm burning the candle at both ends, at 3 ends, at 4 ends, trying to be everything to everyone in business, in personal, in church, in relationships, and pretending that I could hold it all together. And I learned the hard way. If you don't invest in your own energy, your business is going to take everything from you and still ask for more. So what does it look like for you to invest in your energy? Well, one, take a Sabbath day, 1 day a week where you can rest, recharge, and reconnect. We need rest. If you can't turn it off for one single day and focus on yourself, your family, the things that are most important to you in your personal life, your life's going to fall apart. Create some margin for yourself in the mornings. Get up, read, pray, think about the day, plan your day, know what you need to get done. Prioritize your sleep. Make sure you get some true rest. Take time away from your business. Dream a little, plan a little. This is not selfish. It's not giving things up. It's not being a leader or owning a business. What it is, it's strategic. We see it in the life of Christ. And in Mark chapter 6, Jesus tells the disciples to come away and rest after a busy season of ministry. He did not tell us, just push through it. He said, come away. We see this in the business world where executives need to take retreats. They take retreats together. They think, they develop a relationship outside of the problems of work. Why? Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. It's a cliche, but it is so true. Your power of your leadership is when you overflow, not when you're trying to strain every last drop out of yourself. If you want to be a better leader, a better spouse, a better parent, you have to invest in you because you can't give it if you don't have it. So let's review a little bit. There are 4 key areas where you need to invest. You need to invest your time. Spend it on high leverage activities. Do a time audit of your own time and use that high leverage filter. Ask some key questions. Is this worthwhile what I'm focusing on and doing? Allocate your money properly. Invest in those resources, invest money into resources, into things that multiply your results. Think long term, not just about the short term. And then focus. Choose a priority, one priority at a time, and stick with it. Consistency begins to compound. And after you get that priority moving, I'll tell you, it's much easier to pass that off to someone who needs to learn to manage. They can continue with that priority while you begin to work on your next. But you can only do that with the 4th, and that's if you have the energy. Take care of your mind, your body, your soul, your relationships, what is personal, what's on the inside. You are the most important thing that you can invest in. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to get all of this perfect. You do have to be intentional. Your future business is not built in a single day with a single day's decision or action, good or bad. It's built in the daily decisions you make about where you invest. So here's your challenge for this week. Pick one area, time, money, focus, energy. Write down one investment you'll make this week to improve it. Block out that time on your calendar. Don't let the things that are urgent, don't let all the fires that happen throughout the week keep you from focusing on what you should be investing in, and follow through with it. See what changes. If today's episode resonated with you, let's take it further. I want to invite you to join me for a powerful 30-minute masterclass. It's the 5 biggest mistakes that keep home service businesses from scaling. I'll walk you through the pitfalls that keep owners stuck and show you how to break through the things that are holding you back very quickly. Reserve your spot now. Go to 5mistakesmasterclass.com. It's free. Start transforming your business today. And don't forget, like and subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the C in BRIC, connect, and how to build a brand and customer experience that creates raving fans, endless referrals. You want to know how to build these relationships. But until next time, Keep building your business with purpose, because you're not just running a business, you're building a legacy.